Hey guys, Blue Wizard here with another video on Gems of War. Now, I wanted to share a fun team that I've been using with Obsidius and Jar of Eyes with you guys. Now, it does require, there's three main troops for this team, and that is Obsidius, Jar of Eyes, and King Gobtruffle. The fourth troop and the class can be variable. It could be different depending upon what you want to do with it and what troops you have. So I'm going to go over three different teams that I like to use with this setup. The first one here is with Leprechaun at the bottom. And the second one is with the Mirage Ii Queen. And the third one is with the Possessed King. So all three of these are pretty powerful and fun to use. And so let me explain a little bit of what's going on with this. We have Obsidius at the top, which is a great mythic troop. It does heavy splash damage, 50% chance to do light splash damage. It destroys a 5x5 block of gems. So it's mana generating as well as doing damage. And then if you want to lock its traits here, it will be a good defender. That's why we have it up at the top spot of the team, is because it will reduce damage from skulls by 50%. And finally, one of the really fantastic things about Obsidius is that it will stun all enemies on a 4 or 5 gem match. So it's really great for those things. Now, Jar of Eyes is great. It's going to be mainly our mana generator, plus it will summon a troop if Obsidius dies. And for this weapon to work with this team as good as I'm going to show it to you guys, you do need to upgrade the weapon fully, because the last, if we go in here and we look at it, the last upgrade on this weapon says that it will create an ice storm. Now, that's really important part of this team, because we want to generate a lot of blue for the weapon and for King Gobtruffle. Now, King Gobtruffle is going to come in here once it gets full, and it will deal damage to all enemies. It will create a mix of 16 green and brown gems, and that will be boosted by diseased enemies. It also gains an extra turn, and if you have it fully unlocked, all of its traits here, it will disease random enemy on 4 or 5 matches. Since, we have a lot of mana generating going on, that's going to happen a lot. So you're going to be able to generate even more mana when you cast King Gobtruffle. And so green is going to also fill up Jar of Eyes and King Gobtruffle if there's enough of it that connects. And so it's just going to funnel right back into itself with mana. And it will be creating some brown gems as well, which will fill up Obsidius. And in the last spot, we have Leprechaun, which is great for a couple of reasons. And that is it starts with full mana, and it will explode green gems, which are using green for Jar of Eyes and for Gobtruffle. So that'll give us some early mana generation, as well as it does in its traits. It has Nature Link, which will give us a bonus to green. And as you can see on my banner, I'm using double blue, 1 green, but with Nature Link on Leprechaun, it adds another to green, so I'm really getting a 2 bonus to blue and to green. So the objective here is to fill up Jar of Eyes first, explode it, which will fill up Obsidius usually, and then we're going to cast Obsidius. That'll fill up Jar of Eyes and hopefully King Gobtruffle again, and we'll just continue to go through that cycle of generating mana. Now, this setup does work with most classes, but there are a couple that I like more than others. This one I'm using the Assassin class because it does have Icy Veil at level 20, which will create an Ice Storm at the start of the battle. The Ice Storm right at the start of the battle is great because we're going to be exploding the board with Leprechaun, which means that it'll give us a lot of blue mana right away that will fill up Jar of Eyes. So let's go in and do a battle here with this team, and then I'll move on to the next one. And it's great if we have a 4 match right away at the beginning, but we don't. So we're just going to explode the board. And we did get a 4 match on that explosion, and as you can see on the enemy team, everything got stunned, which is great. That'll give us extra skull damage Like if his hero class had any skull damage reduction, you know, it would that being stunned would just bypass all that. So now we have Gobtruffle up. Let's go ahead and cast him. And as you can see, he filled up Obsidius and he filled himself up again. And there's lots of 4 or 5 gem matches that happen here. And you can just keep casting back and forth between Obsidius and Gobtruffle and Jar of Eyes until the enemy is dead. And it's pretty fun. So that was that team. Let's go on to the second one. And for this one, instead of using the Leprechaun, we're using the Mirage Ii Queen. It is a legendary troop, but we're using it for 2 reasons here. One is that it makes all elementals start with 50% mana. And since King Gobtruffle is an elemental, that'll start with 50%. And Obsidius is an elemental, it'll start with 50% mana. That gives us a good head start in the battle. Now I'm using Frost Mage because it doesn't have Icy Veil. I could be using Assassin with this as well, but I like Frost Mage because of the freeze, and it does start with half mana, so this is kind of like my half mana starting team. So even the hero class will start with half mana here. Everything is going to start with half mana on this team. Now the second reason I'm using the Maraji Queen is that it will curse all enemies and convert green gems to Doom Skulls. Since King Gobtruffle is creating green gems, there's going to be occasions where you have a skull in between green gems, and you'll be actually able to convert 4 green gems into those skulls, and then get an extra turn and do a lot of skull damage. So let's go and do a battle with this team now. And we got lucky here, and we got actually a green 4 match here right down at the bottom. We're going to use that. We got another one there. We got another one. We got pretty lucky here. So we already have Jar of Eyes is up, Obsidius is up, and we stunned a couple of the enemy troops there. Let's just cast Obsidius, and we did get King Gobtruffle up. So now we can cast this, create more mana here on the board. And the great thing about this combination of King Gobtruffle in this team is that it's going to be creating brown gems with the green. And Jar of Eyes will explode brown gems. So you have a situation sometimes, if you don't have any way to generate brown gems on the board when you're using Jar of Eyes, is that you get a situation where you have so much blue on the board that you don't have anything to explode, and it actually hurts your ability to continue to get mana into the other troops. So that's why the King Gobtruffle and Jar of Eyes works really well together, as well as Obsidius, because Obsidius is going to summon a dust storm when an enemy dies. So you have that combination of brown gems and blue gems, which is perfect for Jar of Eyes. And now we'll cast Obsidius. That'll fill up Gobtruffle again. And, you know, he's almost dead here. So we do have a 3 match here of skulls. Might as well just cast Mirage Ii Queen and end that enemy. So that was that team. And let's go and use the third one here, which instead of the Mirage Ii Queen or Leprechaun, I'm putting in the Possessed King. So I know this team this is why this is the third one, because it's very mythic and legendary intense here. We have 2 mythics, 1 legendary, and legendary weapon, Jar of Eyes. So it's pretty advanced team, but it's really, really powerful. Now the thing here is I'm using the Corsair class because it adds 2+ to blue. So we're going to rely a lot on blue because the Possessed King also uses blue. And the Possessed King is going to generate a lot of mana for us when we get those 4 or 5 matches. So I really want to focus more on the blue with this team. But this one is great as well, because you're going to have a lot of secondary explosions going off with the Possessed King. But you do start with all with 0 mana, unless you're using a class that starts with 50%. So you do have to be aware that this is going to be a little slower to get up. But once you do have Jar of Eyes up, then you will start to really get the team moving along. Might take a couple of times here because we need to explode the board. I just wish there was more brown, and that's what I was saying earlier, is that's why Gobtruffle is important. But we did get we got some 4 or 5 matches here. Things are looking really good. Now, we do have the Possessed King up, but let's cast Gobtruffle a little bit here and see if we can get that looping. And as you can see, the Possessed King is exploding a lot of stuff on those 4 or 5 gem matches, which is bringing more blue down and filling up Gobtruffle. And yeah, I can cast the Possessed King and end them all. So there you go. It's a pretty fun team because there's just a lot of that mana going around. Everything gets full like really fast. And yeah, so those are some fun teams that you can use with Jar of Eyes and Obsidius and Gobtruffle. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.